Welcome back to Q Dads. I'm Ben, and yes, I'm here today after finishing Wolf Like Me Season 2. I'm going to dive deep into some of those unanswered questions that you might have for the series, and also give you some of my Season 3 predictions. But overall, this show has brought us many things, from the natural curiosity of whether we'll see a wolf or a human baby by the end of the series, a homeless guy robbing a supermarket, and yes, an enormous amount of road rage, and even some animals going at it in the basement. The way the show flows with both its humour and its story is just brilliant. Just as we think we're finally getting settled and can start to predict some of the upcoming events, the writers drop another bombshell. We pretty much get a cliffhanger each episode, making me question how the hell are they going to get out of this in the next episode. We've gone from doubts about relationship and bringing up a baby to old flames coming into the scene, as well as our couple being questioned for homicide, filled with so much humour and so many thrills, all brought to us by Isla Fisher and Josh Gad. But let's waste no more time and let's dive straight in to this final episode of Season 2 before I give you my overall thoughts a little bit later on. The final episode opens with Mary and Gary in the hospital as we're just about to see them give birth to either a human or a wolf. Just to make things worse, they're literally hours away from a full moon. Now, throughout the episode and the series, Mary's been struggling with opening up herself to others, breaking away from that lone wolf vibe, and in the last few moments of episode 6, she opened up to Gary's relatives. They obviously don't believe her, and why would they? I mean, I wouldn't believe someone if they told me that they were a werewolf. But anyway, they worried about the safety of Emma, and that's their only priority at this moment. The couple start to panic as they realise that Mary needs to go in for a caesarean. So they work together and make a plan to escape the hospital. Now, we get a few great scenes here as they decide to run through the corridors of the hospital. Now, the usual way of throwing furniture to the floor to stop the people from chasing you, which is usually seen in most TV series and films these days, is changed. Here, we get to see Gary just outright push someone. As they escape the hospital, the detectives that are looking at that homicide case for the murder back in Season 1 of those two guys are now hot on their trails. But they just miss each other. We head over to the car park where Mary makes a suggestion about her feeling very different to how this usually feels when she turns. And she actually partially turns, which we've never seen before. But this obviously solidifies the fact that she's a werewolf and gets everyone on board. But I do have a theory on this a little later towards the end. We race through the streets in an ambulance. Yes, the road rage in this series has been ridiculous. So many people diving out of the way. So many red lights have been run, but yet there doesn't seem to be any implications of this at all, which is just baffling. But yet a murder from 6 months ago has suddenly decided to bite them in the bum. They get back home, and obviously, as she's pretty much almost fully transformed at this point, the group carry her into the basement and lock her away as she gives birth. Yes, our answers are finally confirmed as she gives birth to a wolf. Now, on this for a moment, because I like to think that in the car park earlier in the episode is when the baby actually transformed into a wolf, which is why it felt so different to Mary. And maybe that transformation of the baby is actually what brought on Mary's transformation herself and brought on that human wolf-like persona. But does this mean that the baby will have the ability, like Mary, each month to transform into a werewolf? Will they become a mother and a child duo in the basement? Or will the baby forever be a wolf? More on this in a moment. Now, we end the episode with Gary entering the basement, backing his theory all along that the nurturing instinct of Mary's will kick in as he helps the little baby, well, his own wolf baby, but he helps it over to the mother, allowing Mary to get the scent. And this is how the episode ends. Overall, I want to touch on the series for a moment, as I think personally it's absolutely brilliant. For example, the humour that runs throughout each episode is just perfect. From the subtle hints of Rob Pattinson and Batman and no one knowing who he actually is all the way through, Or Josh Gad paying $25,000 for a fuck door. The writers have done an absolute amazing job here, incorporating the humour in a way that doesn't feel forced, which a lot of shows lately seem to do. But it feels natural and actually fits in line with the characters. For me, it adds to the series. The story itself is even written well. We start off with a young couple who are about to give birth to a potential wolf or human baby. Do we have the pressure of that? But then they're hit with an old flame coming back into town, who is also actually a wolf. Gary has a breakdown with a homeless guy who end up robbing a shop and talk about his dead wife, which is just so bizarre. But then on top of that, we get a homicide from season 1 brought back into the occasion, which is then fueled as well by Mary, who left a gun in the glove box of the car, which she only actually brought to shoot herself in the event that she tries to eat her own baby. Yes, hearing myself say this is just the most bizarre thing ever, but yet this series makes it work. The actors make it work. Now, the visuals that are on screen as well also add to the series. I love how the camera usually focuses on one person and then everything happens in the background, like when we focus in the last episode on Emma, the true hero that saved the day. Now, yes, this leads me to the biggest and final question. We've obviously seen the birth of a baby wolf, but is it a wolf, a human, or a werewolf? Now, is this baby a human, and this will be the only time that we'll ever see it as a wolf? Or is it going to stay a wolf forever, and the guys are just going to be taking it on walks like a normal pet? Or maybe it will revert back to being a baby and follow in Mary's footsteps every month of becoming a werewolf. Now, some of my predictions for season 3 are not only based on more people finding out about Mary's secret and obviously their newborn baby, but also the origin stories of where the werewolf came from. In season 2, we were given the backstory of Anton, who had also been bitten by Mary after she confided in him. But yet this original dog that she was bitten by, where was this? Was this a werewolf and not a dog? And is this baby of Mary's, is it the first werewolf to be born, or are there more out there? Now, Mary mentioned in the series about a cave in the middle of nowhere that's not been disturbed for over 100 years, this mine shaft. Could this be a potential new area or even a new haven for other werewolves or creatures out there? Now, let me know your thoughts on the series and what you enjoyed most about the show, and especially the humour. And of course, the big question, do you think that the baby will have the ability to change into a werewolf each month? Or do you think it'll be stuck for a wolf forever? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, as in a few weeks' time we'll be covering Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, Apple's new and upcoming monster TV series, which is going to be an absolute brilliant winter hit. So join us each week as we'll be breaking down those episodes. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time with something new.